Okay, everybody's got a fucking podcast. I mean, we have a podcast, so obviously anyone can do it.
Wait, this is a podcast?
Are you recording right now?
Technical difficulties.
No, you don't have to say anything. I'm gonna edit it out.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
I put mayonnaise on a pickle.
Yo, I know y'all ain't playing skee ball while I'm trying to go to bed.
Do my feet? I mean, my feet stink, right?
Yeah. What's up, Jason?
What's going on, Tyler?
Oh, you know, I was gonna do a podcast about a movie. You want to do it with me?
I've got some time.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Today, Taxi Driver. Happy 9/11.
Is that really the way you want to open this? Alright.
Well, it comes out on 9/11, so I was just saying it. Obviously, all respect to that stuff.
Sure.
Just, I can't make it funny.
No.
I can make it funny. No funnies?
Unless it's about steel beams.
You're right, it was definitely not an inside job.
No.
I mean, this is better than what we were going to do. I was thinking like we do a conspiracy doc on 9/11. So
Yeah, no, I'd say this is maybe the safer
this is
option.
a little more mild.
A little
more tame.
less isolating ourselves into
Yeah.
the crazy niche of people who...
It's still about New York,
Yeah.
but we're not, shitting on a national tragedy.
Yeah. I generally try to avoid those on, like, recorded documents, but it's more so in my free time I really like to let loose.
Yeah, that's fair. I was a Taxi Driver. This was from 1976.
It's a good year for me.
Good year, yeah. How did you enjoy the movie?
So this was coming into my first watch. Had never seen it before. Didn't really have much context of it. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Now that I've been kind of doing this with you, I kind of am nitpicking and noticing things throughout movies. So there's a lot of pausing and writing notes down as I kind of went through this to see if they kind of mattered later on. Definitely kind of like a slow build, but definitely a lot of warning signs for his character and kind of a foreshadowing for how things were going to turn out. I think being a little bit more cautious and looking out for those kinds of things worked out pretty well for me, because I think I maybe got to enjoy it as a pretty complete thing on a first watch rather than having to go back and rewatch it a couple of times. So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I watched this, I think, in 2020 when I had nothing to do, and I went what the fuck is it? Just one of those. I always heard about Taxi Driver. I was like, all right, what's going on here? And just when it's slow and you're going, what? For almost 2 hours, and I was like, I don't know, and then just kind of slowly simmered in my head over the next year. It's I think about it every here and there. And then I was like, let's give it another watch. And I watched it the second time, I love it. And every time I watch it, I like it a little more. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
So.
Multiple watches, you probably get to pick up on maybe a little bit more of the minor stuff, because you've already committed some things to memory, so.
Yeah.
You're I didn't notice that, this was like this, or.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I notice is sometimes I go into something thinking it's supposed to be like this, right? So, I guess everything with De Niro, I'm always like, oh, well, it's like some kind of mob thing, or
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't just a story about a dude who's quiet.
It's been weird.
So I think that's what fucked me up on the first watch.
Yeah, you just had a different expectation or trying to fit it into a different kind of box.
Yeah, once you know what it is and you watch it, then it's a fun time. It's a good time.
Maybe that helped me out. I kind of went in with just taking it as it was then, and
yeah. So, all right. So my first question. So does this movie have a point? If so, what is the point?
Absolutely has a point.
Okay.
So this was something we had brought up before, and after doing some research, I felt like this kind of hit my ending feelings on it once I watched the movie of the. So on IMDb, it said on the original television version of the film, it had a disclaimer on it just before the closing credits. And I think it was just black screen, white text, and said, to our television audience, In the aftermath of violence, the distinction between hero and villain is sometimes a matter of interpretation or misinterpretation of facts. Taxi Driver suggests that tragic errors can be made. So, I mean, as far as the point, I think it's that, you know, people can kind of go down these paths, make these, you know, horrible errors on top of errors that kind of compound into them doing drastic actions. But depending on who's there to actually, like, witness, you know, either the action or witness the aftermath of the action, it's kind of just on that onlooker to determine if it was a good or bad thing. You know, it's always just kind of up to the witnesses and the survivors to, you know, kind of narrate history.
Yeah. I find it interesting that they took that away. Like, I mean, from this why would they take that off of the Netflix version? I find that it's big. It's a big piece.
I think so, and I mean maybe it was just as a way to like less guide the viewer, so like they can come to that conclusion that like like the point was to still be left at the end, be like, well, he wasn't really like doing a great thing. He wasn't really a hero in this situation. He kind of went off the deep end, and just the aftermath now is looking like not bad for him. So I think it was just less trying to guide the viewers, but then whatever, once they went to like the TV version of it, they were trying to guide it. But I thought that was a really powerful thing to have, like especially just right there at the closing credits. I think that would have wrapped it up nicely. So I feel a little robbed. They just said that wasn't part of my initial experience, and I didn't see that until after I'd started doing some research.
Yeah, and that is because it does look like there's the thing in the paper, in some lore that I was reading, which you know can get out of hand when you start reading lore, but someone said that whole after scene is just Travis in a dream state before he dies, and when he looks in the mirror and things are like weird in the end.
Yeah.
That like, oh no, he's dead.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Which is an interesting thought. I don't think it's what I mean, I'm taking it for what it is.
Something definitely like seemed off with that scene, because he kind of flicks the mirror or whatever. We kind of see his face, and it almost looks like kind of in like this weird panic. And then there's like this weird musical cue that goes along with it too. Yeah. So it's like it makes me think like something has to be like off or weird in it. I don't know if it was just trying to show that like maybe it's just the potential that like all that stuff is still in him. He could still take those actions again against other people, kind of thing. So like it seemed like it was wrapping this up. Be like, I'm recovered now. We're doing all right. Just driving taxi, still kind of life back to normal. And maybe it was just kind of like a glimpse at like a, it's still there. It's still in him. Yeah. It's still capable. It's a rear view mirror, so maybe it's like the rear view mirror of his past. He still has that potential energy. Yeah. How do you like that?
Profound. Yeah. I think it. No, I like that. I won't expand on that. That's good.
You're good.
We milked that one dry. That one's good. If I add anything, it'll just be redundant. So, all right. So my next question is all right. So we are saying that there was a point.
I'd say
we're saying that that was the message on that. I mean, because if that's the filmmaker that put it there, then pretty obviously, then that's the message. A couple other alternate ones that I did take from it, just watching the Netflix version, not having that piece of information, was take care of veterans sort of thing. Yeah. Because I mean, I think even now, veterans are kind of ill cared for, and this guy is probably coming back with some sort of PTSD. Something, we never really go into it. Yeah. But
and probably all that took place was they got him a prescription for some meds or something and told him good luck. Right. Not much aftercare, not much like check-ins or anything, just to have fun.
I said it could maybe be... Oh, where'd it I got too many things in the margins. we'll just go on. Just like a mental health thing in general.
Yeah.
I think one interview that I saw with Scorsese, he didn't really take a lot of ownership. Not like in like a, I just directed it, I don't know.
You're right.
Not like a, like, get me as far away from that as possible thing. It wasn't that. It was just like a, he didn't take a lot of ownership over the story. He was just like, oh, well, fuck. I don't have the guy's name written down. I had it memorized for a minute, and now it's gone. But who was the guy's name that wrote the story? He said, oh, and he wrote a wonderful script, and, I brought it all together.
Yeah.
But it was said to be kind of like a snapshot of the times. New York was kind of a rough area in that point. And so, I don't know. Anyway. So the question, is it just simply, I said, is it just simply a story? Or we're just observing this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Because what are movies other than just, sometimes it's just, we're just telling the story. But,
yeah. And a scary thought would be is how many, like, instances of this story probably took place throughout that time period. You know, like how many other people were, kind of down and out, having a rough go of it, maybe struggling with mental health, PTSD, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then they take this extreme action and, that could be where we kind of come back to the purpose or that quote there at the end, whether or not it's a good action, a bad action, what the repercussions of that was, because I'm sure it, again, just depending on who was there to witness and tell that story, probably a lot of good things being seen as bad and a lot of bad things, like I would say here, being seen as good, so.
Right. So, my next question basically is Travis Bickle a good person?
No.
No.
I would say hard no.
Okay.
But not that it's so much of his fault that he's not a good person.
Okay, so he's not a good person, but is he a bad person? Is he a bad person, or are there just a couple screws loose, and, things rattle around, sometimes screws fall out,
Yeah.
and, some bad shit happens? Because, I don't know, you see glimpses where there's good intention in him.
Yeah.
Right, the whole beginning of the movie looks very bright for him, where he's...
So in most of like that intro, it's still fine. But like what I had as part of the intro, this was after he had just applied to the cab job, and he's going into a little bit of his one of his earlier monologues. He's talking about the animals come out at night and a real rain will wash them all off the streets. And I mean, this was early on, so like some of that was still instilled at him as far as like the having negative thoughts either towards people of like lower class or just troublemakers in general, people who cause issues, stuff like that. So I mean, as that, I still have to say there's at least a little bit of bad in him, because I mean that's an awful way to just view the people around you, and it kind of already shows that like an intent or a wanting like some retribution or some justice to be done.
Yeah.
Kind of blindly,
Yeah, well, I think that it could be taken as he's... Travis obviously isn't the brightest guy.
Yeah.
So, he has this whole interaction with Betsy where, he likes this girl and he's been kind of watching her creepily. 'Cause
which
in
is
the
cool
70s,
in
and you could
the
do
70s,
that.
yeah.
You could blatantly just follow women in the 70s. It's fine. And, he convinces her to go out. And I almost feel like he might have had that chance with her if he doesn't take her to the porno theater.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm misinterpreting, but I feel like she was giving off like, oh, I'm like interested in this guy when they're out.
Yeah.
At the diner having pie and coffee. By the way, apple pie with piece of yellow melted cheese on top. Not sure.
Listen,
Is that a thing
the 70s
people do?
were a wild time, I guess. I don't know.
Is that a thing people do? I've never heard of it. But, anywho, so he has that whole interaction with Betsy, and, after things go wrong with Betsy is when things really start taking that turn. He has the conversation with the Wiz.
Yeah.
And I don't just talk about what the Wiz said now.
The Wiz sucks. He is one of the worst friends I've ever seen. Basically, it comes to like this is when Travis is coming to him, but like being down and like wanting to like do something bad. Like he's like basically telling him he's on the edge or whatever.
Yeah.
And Wiz is pretty much just saying, "Do whatever you want. We're all fucked anyways." And it's like no, that should never be advice you give to anybody.
Yeah. It's
like
more or less true.
Yeah, but like that's
But
not
that
productive.
moment when your dude's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing some bad things," you don't know what the bad things are, so
Yeah.
maybe try to
steer him
away from
away. No, he didn't stand a chance.
And then he's walking away, and he goes, "You all right? You're all right."
It's like just like the most minor amount of concern. And he was like, "I don't care. It's fine. You're fine. I don't worry about it."
But that so that's his turn. When things start getting weird, and he starts buying guns and
Yeah.
talking to Secret Service agents like he wants to be a Secret Service agent. And there was part of me that kind of goes, was he when he writes home and he says he's a Secret Service agent? Is he just? I mean, because obviously it's a lie what he's saying. So when I say is he lying, it's like, well, yeah, stupid. Like that's not what I mean though. Like, is he consciously lying, or is he that?
Or is he under the delusion? Yeah.
That because when he's just sitting there with sunglasses on watching, the rally,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell him to move the cab. Like, does he think that he's like, keeping an eye on things?
Yeah.
I
I do think it was interesting in that particular scene because the way it was framed, where he could see him, we couldn't see Palestine.
Palantine.
Palentine's. Palestine. We couldn't see Palentine's face, so I think we just saw like from the neck down while he was giving his speech, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Because if we can interpret that and take a big leap here, that could be like the faceless trouble or like the faceless object of some of his frustration.
Yeah.
And that's why he maybe had some of this obsession with him. Because
Yeah.
if it weren't for that guy, then he would have never met Betsy, and then he wouldn't be in all this heartache. And
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one because, it does, he points it all at that, because for whatever reason, he's like, oh, well, the reason she's so, I don't know, I took it as, like, the reason she's so busy, and, ignores him, and then the reason she's around this other guy.
mm-hmm. Which he
who
just
kinda
fucking
shoos me out.
despises.
Do you think that's what it is? She despises that
No,
dude?
I think Travis despises him.
okay.
Yeah, he was not
was
about it. I
okay.
specifically made a note early on. I was like, dude is mad horny for Betsy, and dude is mad not about the guy Betsy works with.
I liked when Travis was like, take your hands off me. Ah! Like, he gets in the
He
stance and
struck like a pose. He was ready.
he was ready to go. But what you said, the faceless just symbol of, which is interesting because he's still got the Palantine posters in his apartment,
And
like,
seemingly he's still like promoting him like
Yeah.
when he's doing his taxi stuff. Cause and that scene was kind of interesting too when he was actually doing the ride, because like comparatively to what we had seen for his character so far, he wasn't like super high energy. Like he wasn't like super talkative or chatty. He was kind of just chill.
Yeah.
In the way he was talking to people. But when Charles Palantine gets in his cab and he like recognizes him, like he's like just full of all this like crazy energy and is like, oh, like man, like I think you're the best. I think you're gonna come through and do all these things or whatever. And we just need someone to come in and clean up all this shit or whatever. Like he just had such high
Flush
energy.
it right down the fucking toilet.
Yeah, like he was getting a little aggressive there, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe he's got some kind of like bipolar thing or something, where he just flips over into some high energy stuff and then.
Well, when he talks to Palantine, it is before the second date that goes awry.
Right.
So he's probably, I guess he's still in like that positive sense about it.
But that was like the only scene we had seen him like be that like
Be upbeat.
like because he was like rambling, like he does that thing when you're excited and you just start like throwing up words after words after words, and like that just seemed a little out of character for what we had seen up until
Like
this cab ride.
when you say too much and
Yeah.
and you're like, yeah, I mean my
Tyler here about to say too much.
Well, I couldn't think of anything ridiculous. Just that. I mean, you can think of the stupid, ridiculous thing, but
Yeah.
I didn't have anything. I didn't have a line. I thought it would come if I just put myself in that corner. You know, come on, come up with something, and it didn't happen. Nothing.
Say funny thing.
Nothing came.
That's fine. Sometimes you just lose.
So all that tying back to whether or not he's a good person. I feel like you saw a light when he thought the Betsy thing would work out. You know,
Yeah.
talking about, you know, they're walking, talking about, you know, oh, I don't really follow music. I really would like to, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he just seems like he's got some, like, because, you know, the quote is, you know, all my life needed was a sense of some place to go. I don't believe that one should devote his life to morbid self-attention. I believe that someone should become a person like other people. And I feel like when he's dating Betsy, he really is truly chasing that. Because, I mean, this is a dude, back to him being dumb. You know, sorry, Travis. But, you know, back to him kind of being dumb if he's in that Marine Corps and then he, you know, he learns a certain way. And, you know, like troublemakers, you know, not tolerated.
Yeah.
Right? So then when he sees troublemakers, I feel like there was kind of a red herring in him kind of staring down black people where you thought that, like, maybe he's racist. And I think it just happened to be that, like, you know, because, like, it was kind of an illusion in the cafe that first time where he's staring at those dudes at that table. But like you said, that other shot is just white people over there.
And I mean,
so,
that could have just been the way it was framed. Yeah, like it pans over, we see like these guys just kind of like staring him down. And I think they all even had like sunglasses on. So like it looked like it was kind of like a, you know, like I'm being watched, I'm being observed, you know, maybe some of that paranoia stuff.
Yeah.
Because when it kicks back to like another frame from being on the other side of the diner, we just see like a couple rando guys, and it's not even the guys that we had seen in the prior scene. And that could have just been the way it was framed. Those guys were further back, but I thought that kind of added to the bit of like the delusion and paranoia.
Right.
He just thinks he's being watched, and
so, you know, I think it was just kind of something they threw out there, like, oh, maybe he's racist, like to just kind of make the person think. But I think he just happened to be in these like areas where some people were just, you know, maybe being, you know, they, you know, because there was that little fight over there right before he talked to the Wiz when he stared that one dude down the sidewalk, and then, you know, something happened. So I think he's just got this general disdain for any person that he might see on the sidewalk in New York.
Yeah.
You know, and he's cool with I can't remember the guy's name, the black cab driver that's in their little posse. You know, he's cool with that dude, owed him $5 or whatever. So I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a red herring that he might be racist, but, you know, but it's that because he's dumb and he just has this general, like, oh, okay, troublemakers, you know, you're out.
Yeah.
And
I mean, some of that could have come too, because, like, I mean, I imagine being in the Marines at the time, they were still, you know, you fought side by side with, you know, any black, African American, whoever there, I'm sure. So, and then being kind of in part of the cab ring, you know, that's like his army, that's his Marines there now. So, and you know, if we were just to maybe argue the other way, maybe just because that was part of like his squad, his people, that he would have, you know, maybe treated him differently or something. But I still agree with you though. I think it just absolutely was a bit of a red herring. Yeah.
And so, there's the glimpses where he's trying to be a good dude, and then, you know, he goes and like he's trying to help Iris out.
For who though?
Well, and see, that was kind of quite. But I'm gonna finish the
You're right.
the Travis Bickle being a good person thing real quick, because I've been on it for like, I don't know, 10 minutes now.
It's fine.
Because I've basically dove into every other scene in the movie. We're going on the merry-go-round, and then is Travis a good person? So we're coming back to it. So you have these glimpses. He's trying to help Iris, but at the same time, he's got this kind of blind energy rage thing. You know, he lays it out right there. He needs some place to go. That sense of purpose. You know, because Betsy did him wrong, and this happened, and then. He has, I don't think we have a name for the guy in the cab that tells him to, you know, keep the fair going, and he's saying, "Look at the woman in the window."
It's my wife.
He's
not my apartment.
Wife. He's not my apartment. It's not a good word, apartment, and so I'm gonna kill her with 44 Magnum, and then he says, "It's so funny to me that Martin Scorsese did that scene." And he says, "You see what a 44 Magnum do to her face?" And he goes, "Or her pussy." That you should see.
That you should see. That you should see.
What a 44 Magnum do to a woman's pussy, that you should see. I like the line execution.
Yeah,
there.
that whole scene was really interesting. I didn't know that was him too until you had actually mentioned that. So that was kind of interesting there. But I kind of like just Travis is just kind of sitting there just taking in the information. He's just like,
well, and it reinforces it because it's right after all that Betsy shit.
yeah. So it's just getting the gears turning for him. And I think the comment I made was that Travis getting inspired by the dude about to murk his wife to take some action with his own life. I was like, that's maybe not where you should be drawing
and then what's the first gun he asks the gun salesman about?
Yeah.
A 44 Magnum?
You got a 44?
So, that guy reinforces it, and I think there's that last chance because he's on the phone trying to, talk Betsy into going out with him again, and he's telling her he sent her flowers.
Yeah.
I did read somewhere that somebody interpreted the camera going away from him down that hallway was that, even the, camera following him around, was just too embarrassed for him in that moment when he's on the phone. I was like, well, that's an interesting way to interpret it.
I can't even look at him.
Because I took it more as are they panning away because someone's gonna come around the corner, because the whole thing is New York and it's a little seedy. Right?
I too was kind of expecting someone to pop up or an altercation to take place. But.
Yeah, but then it's just so I thought it was an interesting thing, but that I feel like that's that last line of hope where it was oh man, Betsy, you don't know what you're doing by turning this guy down, create a monster.
Yeah,
and then he just fucking. Goes off. He doesn't go right off the deep end.
No, it's a gradual decline.
He takes the trail at least. He doesn't just jump right off. There's a trail going down. That
he falls down the stairs.
Yeah. So I feel like there's good stuff there. I feel like in his mind he's probably good.
Yeah.
But then in the end, when he gets all this credit for when he saves this girl and kills this pimp and all this. I think the only reason he came back and did that was because he didn't get to do the thing he was going to do to the senator, the presidential candidate. So he's like, well, I still got all this energy. I gotta do something
with it.
Do something bad with. And so it was just kind of coincidental that he did something good. And you're still not supposed to kill pimps. You know what I mean?
Generally killing people is bad.
Generally killing people you just shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But... So... Is he a good person? No. Is he a bad person?
Just a bit.
I would go with there's a shade of bad.
Yeah.
But I'd still mostly go with, no, I don't think he's a bad person.
Yeah.
There's that's good in there.
And boy, is that kind of not the point?
Yeah.
Is that, we are the now witnesses of observing the action, now we have to make that call. But I'm sure, him, he's Jesus Christ. He has cleansed New York. Yes. And all is well.
He killed that one pimp or that one girl he met. The whole reason he knows about her is because... she gets in his cab one night. She's trying to run away. Yeah. And he's dumb, and he's like, "What?" He's just kind of looking at her like, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah, he wasn't looking for a fight or any trying to think. He was just like, maybe if I wait, this will settle itself.
And then Harvey Keitel plays Matthew or Scout or Sport. Excuse me. Which is hilarious if you've seen Harvey Keitel literally anything else. He's the wolf in Pulp Fiction, and he's this long-haired, goofy talking pimp dude in this movie, and I think it's hilarious. Yeah. Of course, I think you said you wrote it down. Be cool, bitch.
Yeah, be cool, bitch. Because he said that several times, and that was, I think I wrote no context else for that scene. It's just be cool, bitch.
Be cool, bitch. Bitch, be cool. Be cool, bitch. Which of course then is funny. years later in Pulp Fiction. It's like, tell that bitch to be cool.
Full circle.
Full circle. Harvey Keitel tells it all. Fuck, where were we going with that? Oh, the whole reason he knows about Iris is because, that whole deal. And when he goes back to the hotel, he gives back the dirty 20. He holds on to this 20. He's sitting in the diner to pay back what's his name and the cab crew. And he sees it and he just puts it in his pocket over here. It just feels significant.
It was the most crinkled up dollar bill I'd ever seen in my life, too.
Yeah.
It was rough.
I feel like I had another couple of questions or something. Oh, I said, is he racist, but we kind of tackled that, and is he a good person? So, no. I said, is Betsy shallow, and the relationship wasn't going to work anyway? After watching it the most recent time, I said no, because I had a whole thing where I was saying, well, maybe I think she wanted, a kind of attention from... It seemed like her and the dude she worked with were kind of on opposite ends, because their first interaction they watch, I feel like he's more pursuing her-ish. Not directly. Neither of them ever were, super direct.
Yeah, but maybe just trying to build something there.
Yeah. And, she was more flirtatious, I think, the second time around, where she's asking him about, lighting the match if you were missing these 3 fingers and all this.
Yeah. Which he did a terrible job
By
at.
the way, he didn't even try. He
Yeah.
was just rubbing the paper against his teeth. And I was like, come on. You're not... Come on.
It didn't look good.
That could have been a little more... You could have made it look a little better.
Yeah. But, I mean, maybe the point was that he just really didn't give a shit at that point in time. I was just waiting for her to be giving up and go. Are you still standing here? Can I stop brushing my teeth with this matchstick?
Right. She was more flirtatious in that instance, and he didn't really seem to care. But then, if you watch when Travis comes in, and he's trying to talk to her on the desk, if you watch, his head keeps, popping out from behind the post, and he's kind of what are you doing? So, that was fine. Of course, he walks over right after Travis leaves.
Yeah.
So is it... She's shallow, and she's not really... That particular day, she's not really getting the attention from that dude. And this guy walks in and oh, hey, I'll go with you. And then, first sight of trouble, a.k.a. go to a porno movie, you fucking out.
Yeah.
Or was she actually into him, and then he took her to a porno theater, and that ruined it.
Yeah.
Either way, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't think she's shallow. I think she was legitimately interested the first time they went out.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the point that was just a weird thing.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I think there was some interest there. Kind of from what it seemed like we were setting her up as she was, kind of spending all that time volunteering because it was something she was good at, but she didn't really care much for it, it seemed like, at some point. So maybe this was just here's this, out of my little bubble of safety here, somebody showing up that maybe would help her enjoy her life a bit. So maybe the interest was just here's
something to do.
Just you know what I mean. And maybe that's not always like a bad thing.
Sure.
Giving somebody a chance that maybe you normally wouldn't, or taking an opportunity you normally wouldn't. It's not always a bad thing, but it also could have just been sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why the fuck not?
And then alright, so when he goes to help Iris, did he think Iris would be his girlfriend if he saved her? Because he's shocked when he's talking to Sport or Matthew, whatever we'll just go with Sport. We'll go with Sport.
Sure.
When he's talking to Sport, and he's visibly shocked when he finds out she's 12, and Sport says some terrible things about what you can do with this 12-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just he's visibly shocked and
just
speechless.
Yeah.
The more he keeps going on, he's I don't know. I think that was kind of his intention. I felt that was his intention, and then he finds out she's 12, and then he feels even more strongly that he has to do something for her, I think.
Yeah. So do you think if she had been just a regular old prostitute and he went in that room, that interaction would have been a lot different?
I think he still wanted to save her because of what he saw go down in his cab that night.
Mm-hmm.
So I think either way, he's trying to help that girl out.
Probably just seems
whether
like
or not. I think if she was of age, he may have.
boned her.
Yeah.
Because I mean, shit. Like because I'm pretty sure like she still like got down on her knees and like started unzipping his pants,
Right.
and he was just like, ah, like he hesitated.
There was
like,
that second
like
where
he was like,
no.
not doing it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I felt that was his intention. So that's kind of all my questions and philosophy bullshit. So I was just gonna go to observations.
Yeah.
But if you want to, or do you have observations that you want to like go back and forth on that?
Let's go back and forth because like most of my notes were like sequential.
Okay.
And then I had like some closing thoughts. So
My first thing is the bargain. So if you have any, and the come on the jeans. So
yeah.
if you have anything before that, or
So my first note was just the starting off strong when he was like doing that kind of monologue in the beginning about like the animals, coming out at night. But we covered that. So yeah, I think the next stuff is once we got to the porno theater.
Okay. One thing I wrote down was when he's applying for the job, and you see in the window the Wiz is back there. Which, by the way, the Wiz is
Peter something.
I didn't write him down for some stupid fucking reason. But it was the dad, and Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Which he looks super familiar when you're watching it, and then I had to look it up.
Yeah, same. It was like he looks like that guy.
So that was cool. He's bald even in '76.
Yeah,
so that's kind of funny. But yeah, my first one was he's cleaning up the cab, talking about sometimes I gotta wipe the cum off the seats. Sometimes it's blood, and he throws a rag away, and then he like does this. I'm like, so are we gathering that he definitely just wiped cum on his jeans?
Most
Someone
likely.
else's cum.
Yeah. Like I said, maybe this was a night where it was blood instead, so it's less weird. But then you have to think, is cleaning up blood really less weird than...
Yeah, and do you want that on your jeans? I guess if I have to choose, you want cum or blood on your jeans, I'll choose blood.
Yeah.
But, yeah. My next thing was just, he has the awkward interaction with the girl at the porno theater.
Yeah.
And my note was just how much of a bargain he got at the theater for all this. He got popcorn. What was on the counter was 2 Clark bars, 2 Goobers, and a Chuckles bar, and then popcorn and an RC Cola for $1.85, which fucking phenomenal.
Unreal bargain. He basically robbed that place by today's standards.
Yeah. And the RC Cola machine was really cool.
Yeah. I'd like to have one of those. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
And then one of the questions I had from this stage immediately after this is when he goes and sits down and starts to watch his porno. On the Netflix version, the whole screen is like kind of blurred and obfuscated, and I was wondering if that was the way they actually did it for like a rating, or if Netflix just edited out the extra sex scene. But I never looked it up to see what the answer for that was. But like I said, that was one of the scenes I was watching again this morning, just to kind of go through and finish notes. But it looked really out of place, and you can almost see just like a blurred square that they just put over top of it. So
yeah.
I was wondering if Netflix just put that up because they didn't want it.
They didn't want to. Yeah. Yeah. What? So there's an. Is it X? Like, do you go X or because I've heard NC-17? I'm not sure what that is. Isn't that some sort of rating?
I don't know, because like ours is really supposed to be like adult on duty kind of thing, so that'd be 18 and up. I don't know why you would have one that would be 17 and not 18.
Maybe 17 doesn't have to do with ages. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm confused.
Maybe that's more of like a TV rating kind of thing.
Maybe.
Where it's like, you know,
So
just
X is
slightly
just
under
the-
what HBO Max can have, but
Right, yeah. So the X is just,
just smut.
it's all of it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Or I guess it can have all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you think about it, if they have to keep up with ratings, they probably don't have that in any version of the movie. Not the TV version, not the movie theater version when
Well,
it came out in theaters, right?
But you know, they
because
just
you're trying to keep an R rating.
yeah. But I think like nudity used to be a little cooler for a little while.
If we've learned anything from going through the Bond movies, yeah.
Yeah, you know they, you couldn't have nudity, and then nudity was lit, and then we couldn't have nudity again.
Well, like Bond never like blatantly says nudity, but like they're kind of it's blatant, but they're like no, this is PG-13.
It's fine.
It's mostly the songs is where we see it with Bond.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. There was something someone was telling me about. This is very off topic here, but someone was telling me about where it's like a kid's TV show or something. But if you zoom in, you saw like a pair of tits on like a TV or something in the background, and it was like a kid's movie,
Nice.
and it was like I don't know.
Well,
I have no information
that's-
to make that a conversation topic, but
Well, that's like all those stories about like Disney stuff where they're like, oh, if
where
you
there's
look
just
here,
a bunch
it's
of
like,
dicks in the clouds,
Yeah.
like Lion King or something.
Sure, which I've never like gone back and seen, but I've only heard people talk about that. Actually, I've never come across those posts where people were like, "Oh, it's Dick in the Little Mermaid." There's a great Tosh joke about that where he's like, "You try drawing Ariel for 8 months and see if you don't draw a dick somewhere."
That's fair. You're allotted one dick every 8 months. It's the Disney rule.
I just said the product placement, which you also
Yeah.
were commenting on.
Sponsored by Coca-Cola, Doritos. We got RC Cola in there. I think we can see Budweiser a little bit later on.
Yeah.
I do want to say how much I enjoyed the scenes where there was like no dialogue and it's just him driving with like the smooth jazz playing.
It's a catchy little song they got
Yeah,
going
some
on
some
there.
of those scenes just like hit really right. There's just like a certain tone and atmosphere you get with those, and that was about it.
It's killer.
Yeah.
I did read that the guy who scored the movie did not want to do it due to the nature of the movie, and then like he decided he would, and then I think it was the last thing he ever scored. I think he died not too long after doing it, because I guess the main song, the doo 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 doo, that was a song beforehand. That's not something they wrote for this. So there is some sort of original version, and they obviously modified it to score this. But yeah, the whole score of the movie was
Pretty solid.
really, really good. Yeah. My next thing was Scorsese's in the movie twice. The first time we see him is when Travis is enamored with Betsy, and they're showing her walking in the building, and he's the dude
just
that's
like
on the stoop,
chilling.
and he's looking, and he's just kind of like, oh, okay. And then the second time, obviously, he's in the cab, as we've covered thus far.
Cool. So yeah, the only thing I had before that was just setting up for the diner scene, but I think we kind of covered all the stuff with that as far as like the paranoia, the camera angle flips, and everything. My next note was him being mad horny for Betsy and not about the dude she works with. But I also made note that it was kind of funny that like almost immediately it seems like after they had like that date that he went out and bought that vinyl.
Yeah.
Or like that was like probably like immediately after she left he was like, all right, I have to get this because this is gonna be important. I wonder if he actually has like a record player, or if he was just saying, oh no, mine doesn't work, because like he
doesn't have one.
He's making bank right now, so
He
it's like,
should have
he
one.
should have one. Yeah, he said he's bringing in like 300, 350 a week or something, sometimes more.
When popcorn and 5 pieces of candy and a cola are $1.85.
Yeah,
You're bringing in $3.50 a week. I mean,
dude's making bank.
you should be able to afford a record player. That's all I have to say about that. We are the people. We don't pay for the buttons.
We are going to throw the buttons away.
We throw the buttons away. We don't pay for the buttons.
I like that there wasn't like really a conclusion to that phone call too. Like she started
Yeah,
calling
it's
for him,
just
and he just like hangs up the phone. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"That'll
like,
settle
"Nah."
this."
That's so fun. That's such an era thing too. If you think about like people just hung up.
Yeah.
Back then, Because, like, now if you hang up, like, your friend that you're arguing with is just going to, like, text you, like, hey, what the fuck? Like, what send you a fucking page.
Yeah.
No, people just hung up back then, and that
it was
was
a
it.
clean cut. You don't have to worry about a thing.
And it was a bold move in that day. Like, I was watching The Offer recently. It's that show about how The Godfather was being made and all that. And fucking fascinating, too, because it almost fell apart, like, every day. So, fascinating fucking show on Paramount Plus, just saying. But they're negotiating for Brando with Marlon Brando's agent, right? And they just hang up. And then, like, Francis Ford Coppola, is like, what are we doing? And they're like, no, he'll call back in 4, 3, 2. And it doesn't ring, and he's, like, freaking out. And then, like, 5 more seconds later,
And then
the
it
phone
starts
rings.
ringing, yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking...
My
bold,
anxiety
dude.
would have been, like, through the roof at that point. Be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that literally Coppola was, like, freaking out the whole fucking time. Then he called back and like, all right, we'll do it.
Yeah. But that must have just been like a time of the era kind of thing. It's just like that's just how negotiations took place.
Yeah. But yeah. So. All right. Oh, and the apple pie with melted cheese.
Yeah.
We covered. And we covered Be Cool Bitch.
And then after that is, I think, when we get into them going to the porno together on the date.
Right.
And, like, I have so many problems with that because, like, number one, sure, like, Travis ain't the brightest bulb.
No.
So, the smut movies are fine. Maybe he does see a little bit more out of the smut, that's substantial and worth taking a date to. But, like, Betsy's a grown-ass woman.
She knows where she is.
When she walks up to it and she's like, oh, this is like a smut movie, like, she could have very easily said, I don't like these kind of movies. I don't want to watch this. Can we watch something else? Like, she had every opportunity. She goes all the way in, they sit down, and it seeming like, they sit down in the middle of it. I don't
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't know if these have start times or if they're just kind of on a
They're just
always on kind of thing.
You just buy tickets, stay as long as you want.
Yeah. Don't worry, I only need 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But, I was kind of disappointed that, like, that's what it was, is that, she decided to take no action up until it was, like, now doing harm to that relationship and his ego a little bit, but...
I feel like she was, like we talked about earlier, like, like I said, at first I thought she was kind of shallow, but then watching it, a couple more times, is like, actually, I think, if he wouldn't have fucked up, it probably goes further.
Yeah.
I feel like she almost had a little bit of trust in him when she asks him, like, hey, like, what you gotta be kidding me, this is a dirty movie. And, Travis is confident.
Yeah.
He goes, what are you talking about?
It's a good one. Trust me.
A lot of couples go here. And she's like, okay. And walks in and fucking freaks her out. So I don't know. I don't know if the disappointments. I feel like it's a mutual misunderstanding. And that's why I initially said she was shallow, because the second it goes wrong, it's
Yeah,
I'm
she's
never
like, I'm
talking
out.
to you again.
Yeah, and I was a little bit annoyed with like some of the aftermath, like when he was calling her up in that scene, like in the hallway, where like the camera was panning off him and stuff. Like, I was kind of annoyed that she was like, so she answers, she's talking to him. He's like, "Can I call you again?" Okay, cool. Like, I'll call you tomorrow. Like, she absolutely told him he could call her again.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, although
why not just cut it off? Like, just be like, I don't think this is gonna work. Let it be dead. But
to be fair, we didn't hear her end of the line, so she might have said no, absolutely not, and he was like, okay, I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it could have went like that.
You're right. It absolutely
To be fair.
could. That's fair. I was thinking too. I wondered if he's having this conversation still with her voicemail because we didn't hear any of her dialogue. So like if he's having
a conversation and simulating her answers in his head,
yeah.
and then just go, did you get the flowers? No, you didn't get them? Oh, okay.
So I thought that would have been kind of interesting too, just because we didn't hear any of her dialogue. 'Cause usually, we'd hear both sides or something like that. But
yeah. But it's more than likely what you said first, though, is that like he probably was having a conversation, and I bet that she was just like, yeah, you can call again, yeah, just whatever,
Get me off the
possible
phone.
to get her off the phone, yeah. She was obviously enamored first, and then scared second,
Yeah, understandably.
and then very scared when he walks into her job and is
Yeah.
hostile and ready to
So in
do
just
some judo on the dude.
So just before that scene, we went to a little bit of another monologue here, where like he was talking about like the stench and everything is like giving him headaches, and you think he has like stomach cancer or
Yes.
something. I thought that was kind of interesting that like immediate like repercussion is now like him being like, oh, I think I'm dying, like I have stomach cancer kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, we're kind of hitting like hypochondriac kind of stuff of just I'm upset, so I'm
Yeah.
dying and I'm sick kind of thing. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah, we talked about the Wiz. That his thing was.
Oh,
I mean,
Peter Boyle. I did write down his name, Peter Boyle.
There we go. But yeah, it was kind of. It was meaningful in a way what he said, but again, just not the advice to be given some dude who kind of looks homicidal.
Yeah.
And is saying he's got bad thoughts in his head, and then just going, "You all right? Yeah, you all right."
Yeah, bad job of reading the room there for sure. He just wasn't, wasn't giving the good advice there.
Yeah. I mean, my next thing is, in the 70s, you could blatantly follow women, which we followed.
Yeah, and which is still legal,
Probably.
or I shouldn't say legal to this day. It's still doable to this day.
Just,
You get arrested faster.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more people paying attention.
Yeah.
And such.
And then, and part of some of the like scene transitions and other cuts and stuff, we do get some cuts of like Charles Palatine's speeches, where he's like giving him motivation to like rise up and rule, like take control and take action of his own life, kind of thing. 'Cause that's kind of what part of his, spiels were when he was like watching them on TV or like anything on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was still kind of interesting at this point, because now would be where he starts seeing. At this point, starting to consider him as kind of like this faceless target now. Like he's still using his, speeches and everything to get motivation for his life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very ironic.
Because I think immediately
motivation from you for me to kill you.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where like some of that like tilting point like really started. Later on, there's a scene that's literally a tilting point with the
TV.
the TV. But I made note that this was kind of like the kind of new mindset really taking hold as far as like he has to do something. It's like he's creeping on the two girls and watching them go down the street, and then like immediately gets frustrated once they start hitting up like the guys who were on the corner. It's like he was creeping on them, and then they're like, "Oh, is that dude like creeping on us?" Yeah, whatever. It's just so they pick up and start chatting these other two dudes, and once they do that, then he just like floors it and speeds off like he's frustrated. And I wonder if that was either because one, like it was somebody else now getting the girl kind of thing,
Right.
and it is maybe still being upset towards Betsy, or if it was just the these girls like they're gonna go bang these dudes and I can't save them right now.
Yeah.
But
More troublemaking behavior kind of deal that he doesn't like. Yeah.
and then I wrote big simp energy, and then he monologues about being lonely.
Yeah. I just think it's just when he's working out. I'm not sure what the holding your hand over the stove
Yeah,
is doing. I don't know if he. We haven't really talked about burning fat. Too much in the 70s. I don't know. I don't know what the health scene was like.
literally
in the 70s.
burning the fat off of his
So
body.
I thought maybe he was like, "Oh, burn fat,"
Yeah. And then
A lot of just scenes of him pointing guns at things in the room. Just kind of vague.
yeah. And then we also get to the scene like where he's doing kind of his journal writing or whatever part of the monologue, and we see like the picture on the wall that him and Betsy talked about getting organized.
His eyes, yeah.
And then still has like those posters for Charles Palantine in there too, so
Yeah.
it's like some part of him is still there and like supporting and like life is fine, but then it's like there's just this other part that's still going in its other direction that's like, all right, we need to do something. We need to take some control in our life or do something crazy.
Yeah.
And then I rambled on about being spoiled to have cell phones because, dude's just waiting off on the corner, just kind of pivoting aimlessly until they pick him up to go, buy the guns.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we're so spoiled because, like, I feel like if I was in that situation, I'd just be like, where the fuck am I? Who's picking me up? What am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Because, whatever.
Yeah, now it's like, I'll walk outside when you're here. Okay.
Yeah. I will not even leave the safety of my home until you have been pulled outside for 5 minutes and made sure the coast is clear.
Yeah.
And then we talked about, like, when he's looking at the guns, like, he immediately asked for the 44 Magnum. Easy Andy is a cool-ass name for this salesman.
Fuck it,
And, yeah, the fact that he, like, buys all the guns, too, is kind of obnoxious. And, like,
and
I don't know...
couldn't get a record player?
Yeah. And, like I don't... I feel like that'd be a red flag for Andy. Like, to be like, oh, you want all of them?
It's not Andy's responsibility to worry about that shit.
And then he's trying to sound like
he just
Coke
tried to
and
upsell.
shit.
It was almost humorous. The amount of coke, grass, weed.
Yeah,
I can
like,
get you a Cadillac. It's like I'm just waiting for the next thing. It's like I got medieval swords. Just like keep listing shit up.
I've just got a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
What can you do?
I got a storage unit downtown. You want to come look around?
Yeah.
I got rocking chairs.
But I was kind of surprised, too, just with him being a Marine, that, like, he didn't already own a gun, and maybe the point was to have stuff that didn't have serial numbers.
Right.
But, like, when he ends up shooting the dude who's robbing the convenience store, like, he leaves the gun there, and I'm assuming that's because it's identifiable.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, did we not have... Oh, well, okay. There were fingerprints, but it was, like, a whole thing where it's, like, if your fingerprint's on them... Like, even if your fingerprint's on file, they have to literally go through and be like...
Yeah.
Like
much more tedious handwork.
No. Yeah, that sounds like hell.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of those serial killer docs, and it's just they're all based in like older like 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, because the technology just wasn't there to
and you just
fill in the
couldn't
blanks.
solve it fast enough. Yeah. My next thing was the "you talking to me" scene. So, I mean, if you got anything before that, we can cover it, but...
I just wanted to touch on the fact that like, rail system he had on his arm for the gun is, like, without a doubt the coolest thing ever, and Assassin's Creed stole that for their,
oh, for sure.
For the assassin's knife or whatever that was in the wrist thing. I thought the thing was so cool. Like, I was, like, audibly, like, excited seeing it, and, like, when he did the flick and the gun was in his hand, I was like, this is, like, I feel like a cheesy scene out of, like, a spy movie or something.
But he did it himself, and it wasn't cheesy.
Yeah.
That was what made it so cool.
But, like, you could have cut that out and put it into, like, a cheesy spy movie, and it would have fit fine. But, yeah, I thought that thing was so cool. Because he just built it out of, like, a drawer with, like, the slide and everything.
Yeah, it was sick.
It was pretty cool.
I enjoyed it a lot. But, yeah, so... The "you talking to me" scene is something that's super interesting to me, just because it's one of those quotes that's burnt in history, and you've seen things reference it.
Yeah.
TV shows and shit like that. But you never know what it's from sometimes when it's something, from 76 and you're born in 95. You don't know what the fuck, is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting to see it because you don't know. I didn't know it was from this. So watching it, the first time, and like, oh, this is that thing everybody says.
Yeah.
And then... It's just interesting because you always expect it to be this... at least me, I expected it to be this very volatile scene, like an actual confrontation. But no, he's just talking to himself in the mirror. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah. I also wrote down for some reason that some part of this made me think of, like, Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man, like when he was, like, looking at the mirror and doing the flexing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but somehow that was, like... I saw that scene, and then that's, like, the energy my brain went to. Was like, why does this remind me of Spider-Man?
I mean, yeah, it's that, yeah. It's the same fucking energy, for sure.
Travis is Spider-Man.
Travis is Spider-Man. In another life, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they said Spider-Man was a vigilante, so... It kind of fits. I love the part where he's, like, rehearsing his speech, too, and he has to, like, start over.
Yeah.
I really love that was, like, a thing that they kept in and was, like, intentional to show that, like, he's rehearsing these lines. And part of this made me go back to a scene from The Boys, where it's like this guy who's just like consuming a bunch of kind of like sort of like propaganda media, I guess. Like he wakes up, he checks his phone, he turns on the radio, he's listening to like all these podcasts and stuff about like like the super terrorists or whatever, and be vigilant, keep an eye out or whatever. And he does these weird like kind of staring at himself in the mirror things, and it just does a cycle of like wake up, podcast, breakfast, go to this convenience store, consuming all this media. And then at some point he starts to get like anxious and nervous and feel like he has to do something. One of the guys who runs like this convenience store is like foreign and comes in one night, car drives by, so like his eyes kind of look like they light up with the headlights hitting it. And he's like, "Are you a fucking super terrorist?" And he pulls out his gun and is like yelling at him and then just shoots him. Like he gets no reply from the guy or whatever, he just shoots him. And I feel like a little bit of like a parallel between that where it's just like Travis is kind of supplying his own propaganda media for himself throughout a lot of this, kind of setting up his own mindset, and then kind of accidentally taking action. Like I feel like him shooting that guy in the convenience store, that was our first confirmed kill, and I feel like there was no hesitation. Like he had been waiting basically for a reason to do this because obviously he had the guns on him already.
Yeah.
Like he's waiting to take this action, so then it's just like, oh shit, I can shoot somebody now.
Got it.
And it was kind of interesting that he was like kind of shocked and like panicking in that moment, because I'd have to imagine he probably killed people in the Marines.
Right.
So like he probably had to have had some of that disconnect, but here he was still a little jolted, which was just seemed out of character with what his experience had to have been up to this point. But maybe that's with the PTSD too.
Or maybe and then we've both said that maybe there's some PTSD, but maybe there's also none. And maybe he had just a clean, go of it. Yeah. And, like, nothing happened. And so maybe, because when I throw out PTSD, it's just kind of a possibility. So, I don't know.
I did also make note that the owner of the store was, like, beating the dude with a pipe, like, after he had shot him. Yeah. Which, like, dude was dead. Right. He's just wailing on this dude with the pipe. I was like, this seems a little excessive. But, like,
the guy also says his eyes are moving, and it's like, is it though?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they were, I mean, he shot him in the head, didn't he?
I thought so.
So, but I mean, that's kind of whatever. It just seemed
there was no confirmed wound on him too. Was the other thing? Like it was just kind of like, I mean, there's a little blood here or there, but it's just kind of like on the ground,
just slumped.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's whatever. It just seemed excessive that he was just beating this dude. But I think they did mention this was like the 5th time this year that he had gotten robbed, so he'd probably had enough.
Yeah.
And then one of the other scenes where he was like watching the TV, and it was like a scene. It was like a song playing, and it was like people dancing around, and then there was just like the empty pair of shoes that were in the thing. I didn't understand like what that was supposed to be for, or why, if that mattered in any kind of way. At this point, I was maybe trying to read in too much and everything.
Yeah, I felt that way too, because I mean, I almost wrote down like, "Oh, Travis is the pair of shoes on the dance floor."
Yeah.
Because like no one's paying attention to it. Then I was like, okay, you're reading too much into this. So glad to know I was the only one.
So here's my reading too much into it. I said maybe it like the scene itself didn't really matter, and it's just showing that like despite him doing something, he took an action. He killed a guy who was a troublemaker. Yeah. Despite doing something, taking action in his life, he was still missing the intimacy he wanted, because it was all couples dances, and then it was like the lone pair of shoes.
He is always fascinated with couples.
Yeah.
Looking at them on the street and everything, and yeah.
So it was just showing that he was still alone. Just empty pair of shoes, can't even dance by himself.
Yeah.
And that's a stretch. That's a reach.
Yeah. Climb some monkey bars there. I thought it was significant that he gave back the dirt. I mean, I mentioned this earlier, but he keeps that 20 the whole time, and when he pays the dude for the hotel fee, which was my other thing, is like, they always get you with those hidden fees, man.
Fucking prostitution is a pyramid scheme, 100%.
Prostitute and then $10 room fee, and you're like, really?
Yeah, but, I think I also wrote that he was probably like paying per thrust too. Like once you get in there, like there's just a dude like with the cup up to the thing, just listening to every.
Yeah. But I thought that was symbolic of what, like, because he's still. I don't know. That's why I say he's not completely a bad person, because he still felt weird about having that money, and so then when he came there, and he doesn't have sex with a 12-year-old girl, which it's good.
Good for him.
Good for him. And then he pays with that dirty money, so significant, I thought.
Yeah.
And then 1 o'clock for breakfast, and they don't say where. Those all three kind of just go together.
Yeah.
And then
Just show up for breakfast somewhere. I'll find you. I'll find you.
And I won't kill you. Unlike the other guy. Alright, I just have me being a cunt, and then one last question about the last kind of scene, so whatever else you got.
So one of the things I made note of was like when he's like going through like burning all the like dead flowers and stuff that he had. I was wondering if part of this was because of his obsession focus now going away from Betsy and going towards Iris. Because now that he's got a new focus thing, it seemed like he was like, all right, fuck Betsy. Get rid of kind of the memories, I guess, of her so he can maybe reprioritize and refocus his life a bit.
Sort of, but he did still have the intent. Like, when he wrote that note to Iris with the money in it, he did say by the time he gets, like, I'll be dead. So he did still have the intent. Like, while he was still... It symbolically, in a way, he burns the flowers and goes away from Betsy, but he's still fixated on that thing that he was fixated on because of Betsy, and that's killing Palantine.
Yeah.
So he's like, helping Iris on this side. Still got to take care of that other thing on this side.
Yeah.
And then backs out of it, because basically...
He realized this wasn't going to work.
Yeah, which still was like, if the intention is like you're just going to be dead, then just do it.
Yeah. Don't be a pussy.
Moral of this podcast, don't be a pussy like Travis. He could have killed the presidential candidate, and he did not do it.
I love the DIY mohawk he also had.
Yes.
And I noticed it too, that it probably means nothing, but like when he was standing there with like his arms crossed, earlier he was trying to mimic one of the other like Secret Service guys who was there. And the same kind of thing, like in this scene where he was watching the speech after he had cut his hair. He was doing the same thing, just like sitting there with his arms crossed, and I was like, he's still kind of playing his own delusion that maybe he is this Secret Service dude or, something like that. But
so yeah, and so then that I just thought of this, so maybe it's stupid, because
sure,
half baked. But I don't know who Henry Crinkle is. And so obviously it could have just been a whole fake name deal.
Yeah.
But is that the address, like, is he sending that to, like, his parents' address or some shit? And that's, like, the lie. So the Secret Service information gets sent to this parents' address, and we don't know where his parents live.
Yeah, but the information would have been an application, and he already told his parents that he's in the Secret Service, so I feel like that would break
like I said,
the immersion.
Half baked.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, maybe there was a point or, like, a significance for that address.
But you would think. Because he did just... But he also pretty much fucked up the zip code. It's like zip codes have 5 numbers, so...
Yeah.
It was probably just a straight up lie. Like I said, half-baked.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Half-baked.
And maybe that for him was even half-baked, He was just like... He's like, well, shit, like, they're going to think I'm a crazy person. I'm just giving them fake information. I've outsmarted the Secret Service.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, shit, I don't know zip codes. My bad. But I did make a point that I was laughing at him being a fucking failure at the draw, though, for getting his gun out and then just abandoning ship, and he didn't even get to use his cool arm attachment. Loser. And then I wrote sponsored by Budweiser, because I think the next scene he's just drinking a beer.
Yeah. Going crazy. So, I don't know. So you're positive that he did take a med of some kind?
I felt like I saw him still taking meds at that point.
Okay. Because my thought was, he says the thing about no more pills, no more this, that, whatever. And, I mean, I'd have to go back through and watch again, but I was pretty sure he didn't take any pills, and then when he gets back from, the failed assassination attempt, and then he's like taking pills and
Yeah.
drinking the beer and everything, which. If it is some sort of antidepressant, not the best idea.
I'm pretty sure right there
Either,
on the
but
bottle it says do not
do not,
consume
yeah.
alcoholic beverages.
Yeah,
So read labels, guys.
good labels. But what else you got?
I just had like a big kind of, I guess, just spiel on the end bit of it of
Okay.
when he's coming in and just murks Sport. Shoots him in the stomach, which as far as the internet has told me, I think is like one of the most painful ways to die, is to die by bleeding out to like a stomach wound or something.
Which then it still isn't even how he died, because Sport fucking
Yeah.
comes by, grazes him in the neck, which, hey, hats off to Travis for rolling through there and still murking people, even
Dude.
though he got grazed in the neck.
He definitely had like plot armor throughout this, because I feel like it shouldn't it sounds like a terrible thing. It's not that hard to kill somebody. Like
Really
you've got several people in that building with guns, and like they all suck. Like they get shots on them, but like Travis just doesn't die. He's got the plot armor.
Yeah.
So that was whatever.
Really had bullets pumped into him. I mean, dude shot... That was the funny thing, is the dude shot him point blank in the shoulder. It's like, if you just move up a couple inches, you'd get him in the head.
We don't kill main characters unless it moves the plot along, okay?
Plot armor...
Look back to movie rules, okay?
No, you're right. That would be the funniest thing to hear someone say, like, in a movie, if they just said, "Oh, no, I have plot armor. You can't do that."
Yeah.
It's just like, no,
Like
I'm
just
aiming at your head.
A
It's
movie
just like,
that's very upfront with its like tropes and stuff. It's
Yes.
be like, no, listen.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah.
I found it ridiculous that like he shoots Sport and then he goes over and like sits on the porch for like a couple of seconds.
Yes.
And I don't know if he was just like trying to, decompress from having just shot this guy and like, okay, I gotta go in. I was saying maybe he was like, oh shit, I made a comment here that was kind of funny. So I said he sits on the porch for a sec like, nah, I'm gonna wait for someone to finish dumping baby batter into Iris, and then, nah, it's blamming time. We're gonna go in and kill everybody. So yeah, he walks in, blows this dude's fingers off, which I was making notes at the time, so I actually like paused to make note of what I had so far. And the scene I paused on was like a cut of Travis's face, and like he looked scared. Like just the quick frame that it went to, like he looked like he wasn't having a good time. He looked like, I don't know if he was scared or surprised or what, but and I said maybe that was pre-Mohawk Travis showing up for a moment. And then he gets shot in the neck, didn't give a fuck, just continues on for his kill streak, gets shot again, uses the dope wrist thing,
Yes.
pulls out his next gun.
Finally, you get to see it in action.
Yeah, I was very excited to see it actually get used. And then I wrote, like, the next part was just embarrassing. It's like the dude he shot, like, his fingers off of was just, like, kind of, like, crying and wailing on him and, like, smacking him with his, half a hand.
Yeah.
It's like, you motherfucker, I'll kill you, motherfucker. Like, and I think the best, like, part for a lot of this is that there's no, there's no, like, audio. Like, there's no, like, music or, like, anything for this.
Yeah.
It's literally just the...
Just sit in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the whole way they did this scene is, like, we just see him, like, his whole journey through it. They don't do, like, the action hero cuts where it's just, like, a ba, 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 and then he moves on. It's like we're just watching him lug around, shoot this guy, gets shot in the neck, turns around, now he deals with this guy. He's walking up the steps, this dude's just, like, slapping on him.
Yeah.
It, we got to see every part of it, which I think made it a lot more dramatic and kind of made me start feeling bad, because I was like, at some point, like, maybe the thought crossed his mind. He was like, this is bad.
Perhaps I didn't want to do this.
I have made a horrible error.
Yeah.
But he's got to go through with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just kind of embarrassing with the dude just kind of wailing on him as he's going up the stairs. Kills everybody else in the room. Iris is just crying in the corner. And then he's trying to find a gun that has bullets in it still so he can shoot himself. And I thought that was stupid. I was like, I can't believe that, like at this point, like, he wanted to do the thing and then just die.
But that was the thing he was looking for.
But like,
the sense of some place to go.
but what if like he did really good? Like, what if he went in here and killed everybody
Which
and like didn't get shot?
right? Does he still want to?
Would he have still shot himself? Because I feel like it was maybe like, as far as he was concerned, he was probably gonna die there. But like he still wanted to make
I think
sure.
He's still got this lingering thing of like, because he was gonna go shoot the senator, and he was probably intending on shooting some Secret Service guys.
Yeah.
And so I think that he was probably somebody that wants to. What I just thought about when he gave the Secret Service guy information, they're probably gonna send people to his whatever address they gave to like, hey, you're a suspicious person. So he probably just gave him this. They're like, I don't even live in New York. I live in New Jersey. Anyway.
Yeah.
The intention was probably that, hey, I'm probably gonna get shot, and he wants to win, right? And he wants the someplace to go, and so I think the intention was probably always because he says, "I'll be dead" in the letter, writes out, "I'll be dead." So I think the intention was probably always to kill himself, and it was probably just that reflex of like you ever have something broken in your home, and you gotta do a special, like. I don't know, like when we upload these videos to the laptop, like if we ever get more like an actual camera and not just iPhones, I'm sure it'll be just a lot simpler to just
plug and play.
in.
Yeah.
But right now we gotta do this like save to file thing and
little tediums of
and then
just getting
delete it
stuff up. Yeah.
fucking 4 times because we got like a files app and also the photos thing and what I mean? You've had something broken in your home where you have to do some goofy thing to make something work.
Yeah.
And then the thing's fixed, but you still go to do the goofy thing. It's as like a reflex. And oh, wait. No.
I don't have to do this no more.
So it's almost, I feel like it was almost like a reflex. That's been the plan
Yeah.
the whole time. He's going to kill people, and then he's going to kill himself, and it's done. It's over.
Yeah.
He wants the quote, place to go or whatever.
I really feel like he could have finished that off because, death by cop's definitely an option. Point a gun at one of the cops and they're going to murk you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at that point, it seemed like he
doesn't
was...
win
Yeah.
that way. Because if he does it...
Then that
choice.
news article changes because, this, could have, I guess, reinterpreted it as something else, so...
Yeah. I really do like that. I mean, what you came across there, the original TV message, because, like... I mean, you sit here and you go, what the fuck is the point? And you go, well, that's the point. If the people that made the fucking movie put that there... then that's the fucking point. So whoever cut that out made a horrible error.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
That's killer. Right there. Any questions you have about any philosophy of this movie is answered right fucking there.
Yeah. And at the end of this, just like immediately, I was... so this would have been just like after the kind of pan out of, we thinking he died, but then JK, he didn't actually die. I was like, what's the victory here? He was just indulging himself the whole time, acting like he was trying to be like a gentleman to Betsy or save Iris or clean up the city. But like all he's really accomplished is like completely, fucking up Iris's life because, she's going to have some emotional trauma from this, I'm sure, for the rest of her life. Killed a bunch of dudes, getting himself shot. And I've stepped back from that a little bit. In the moment, I was just very irritated that I was like, this dude's just doing all this stuff for him. Like, there isn't a higher purpose he's trying to do this for, like, anything. Like, he just felt like he needed to kill some people and then it'd be good. So he did. And then I was really frustrated that he was getting praised by the parents. He got the newspaper stories.
It is an unfortunate circumstance, but, whether or not what he did was good, the parents see it as good because...
they get their daughter
back that was in prostitution, so like that's...
it's still a net good there, but...
yeah. No, was I mean, it is really hard because I felt like there were good intentions with Travis, but was it a superficial good? To just be able to say, I did good.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know.
That's kind of the problem with people setting their own standards and then meeting those standards. It's like, he decided what was good, and what was good was to shoot a bunch of pimps and things, and he was like, great, I did a good job today.
I mean,
And that's
good,
why people
'cause-
justify doing terrible things. Like, it's that,
Yeah.
I feel like that same process of, like, here's what I want to do, and here's what I should do. And he just made sure they always lined up.
I mean, if you believe in the everything happens for a reason thing, then, you know, him killing those people. I mean, killing the guy that runs the actual brothel part of it, of, renting rooms out,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, again, hidden fees. But,
That's how they get ya.
and the pimp, right? There's probably netting some good there, because any prostitutes that work for, those guys are probably like, I mean, now it obviously sucks in a way for those girls because that's how they make their money.
Yeah.
So they got to figure something else out. But at the same time, they're not being forced. So if they go back into it, it's their choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think kind of the whole thing, and this may be...
No, you shouldn't kill people. Bottom line, if you take anything from this podcast, it's Happy 9/11, and you shouldn't kill people.
And cut.
Done!
Ugh.
Now, fun fact about the prostitute, though, they based what they wanted Jodie Foster to do on a real prostitute who they talked to, right? And so the girl that is, Jodie Foster's like friend that she's walking around with
Mhm.
is the prostitute that they based everything off of. At least I read somewhere, so it could all be alleged. I should really stop just giving the disclaimers and I should just be like, you know what? I'm saying it. This is the internet.
Yeah.
Vet it.
Do your own research.
Yeah. Or just have a disclaimer at the bottom of every podcast. The information said here is not necessarily true.
It's just like the quick ramble.
Yeah.
Contact person is not liable for any damage.
Yeah. But like that girl, like when they were having a meeting with her, actually was putting the, sugar on the jam that was on the toast. So they just based all the outfits and all the mannerisms, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
On that girl. It was interesting. Obviously, Travis is sleep deprived. I'm just going through my last bit.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
Obviously, Travis is sleep deprived. That's the end of the girl thing. I know. I ran right into the Travis thing. It's like, and then Travis, he's based on a hooker too. No. Going into Travis, me just being a dick, and like, well, if you're having trouble sleeping and you're probably going insane because you're not sleeping, so if you just try a different mattress, because his bed did not look comfortable in the least.
Yeah.
It looked like just your standard, probably military type cot.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's what they said, man. Be like, can't sleep no more. The beds are too soft. It's like, sleep on the floor then, you fucking idiot. Go to bed.
yeah. So there was that. That's just me being, dicky.
Yeah.
But, and my last thing was, did you like the dramatic pan out of, just backing out of that whole scene of like, okay, there's the shit in the hallway. Oh, there's people by the door. Oh, there's cops. There's all these spectators. Oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Just the dramatic music and the, slow pan out. Or did you like it?
Yeah, I really enjoy just those types of scenes. Like, anything that kind of goes through, like, the aftermath, especially when it's something kind of, like, big and crazy like this. Like, pretty much a mass shooting. You kind of go through and it's just like you kind of start to process. You have time to process, like, well, now what?
Yes.
He's sitting there, seemingly, he's dead on
You're pretty sure he's
the
dead.
couch.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get to see like the cops looking at him. Iris is still just bawling her fucking eyes out in the corner, poor girl.
Yeah.
And then we just go ahead, see all like the dead bodies and everything, and it's just like I felt like shit. And I was like, this is probably the right emotion to be feeling, because I'm just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah. Then they give you that little glimmer by being like, oh, he's alive.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck you. I was pissed that he was
I warned you, brother!
I was pissed. I didn't mourn him.
No,
I felt like this was now justice, that like his potential energy for doing bad actions had now been served.
I was just throwing a Thor quote in there.
Oh.
It was a joke.
I keep messing these up today.
That's
I'm
all right.
sorry.
Well, you didn't mess the other one up on the podcast. We were just talking before, so...
Well, now they know because I've said it.
Oh, fuck!
Yeah.
Now they know you messed two up.
Don't worry. We can edit that out.
Yeah, I thought it was super goofy the first time I watched that. I was like, well, what? Okay, dramatic music, slowly pan. Okay, great. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But the more I watch it, the more I like it because when he has that whole quote about loneliness has followed me everywhere all my life, in that whole thing, and complaining about being lonely, and then there's this moment where he doesn't necessarily do something good, or in his mind, I guess it's this. This is the thing. This is the grand. This is what it's all been leading to. This is all my life.
This is why we're here.
Somewhere
This
to
is why
go.
we're here.
Yeah. And even in that fucking moment, he's still alone with a bunch of dead people in a room. And you pan out, and then here's all the people, that you've supposedly wanted all this time, and they're all out here.
Yeah.
And you are in there. And so you're still alone, but look how close you came.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, it is kind of a weird dichotomy that I'm probably not using dichotomy in the right way in the sense, but the main thing was going to be killing Palantine, which would have been very public, everybody around to see it and witness that action. And then the action he actually takes is now in private, and people just see the aftermath.
Yes.
So.
But it's still lonely. And I think, as you mentioned when we were talking about it, like Betsy shows back up.
Yeah,
and you said she's kind of. Go ahead. You said Lionel too.
So, oh god. So what the fuck is this ending? He goes into a coma. Betsy shows up ready to Super Smash Bros. Melee his dick because she thinks he's some hero.
Yeah.
There's no consequences in place. Bet you she invites him up to listen to that record. And then I wrote that she does not. That's on me. But I figured that would be a very cheese ending was to...
I think if he asked, he had the pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was all expenses paid.
This one's on me.
Yeah. All expenses paid ticket to Pound Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little goofy. The whole Betsy thing. And I see why people would... The lore people would come and say, like, oh,
this is the
dream sequence.
Yeah.
It is funny, though, that, the lack of loneliness is what he's always been... Okay, this one's another half-baked thing.
Okay.
But it might be the best. You might think it's full-baked. Obviously not, because I just said it's half-baked. Anyway.
Don't worry. We can edit that out.
If it sounds full-baked, we'll edit out that it's half-baked.
Yeah.
No, the Wiz says the thing about, okay, so it's, this must be what I want. It's 17 years and 10 years at night. Why don't I have my own cab? This must be what I want, to drive someone else's cab at night.
Yeah.
And then Travis is talking about being lonely and complaining about it. And then this thing happens. Betsy comes back and is kind of down to fuck. It seems. And then he doesn't even pursue her. He's just like, okay, bye, Betsy.
Get out of my fucking cab.
So is he just doing what he wants? Is it what he wanted all along? Was just to be lonely?
Yeah.
Did he want to just be alone the whole time? Maybe what the Wiz said actually reigns true, and it wasn't just a bunch of mumbo jumbo
Maybe.
that he came up with off the top of his head.
So the problem is, so the only reason he did any of this crazy stuff is because he was trying to take action on a want he didn't really have, and thought he was, because if we go back to where it's like, a person should be a person kind of thing, where he was like, or, people should act like people do or whatever, he's like,
right.
this is what a person would do. Like, this is like, I have to take action.
A person would...
Presidential candidate.
Candidate! A person would...
Maybe we should edit that part out too. Anyways.
It's just like, a person should be...
It's alright, we have a thing. We can add in some white noise there. It's fine.
That'd be funny. Just the static. A person should... Anyway. I don't even know where we are now. That was pretty funny.
But that
Seems like a good time to wrap it up. We could circle jerk all day about what the actual meaning is and such. So,
But what's our lesson?
don't kill people. Yeah. So, what would you give it? I'm more in letter grades at this point.
All right.
So you can use whatever you want. I think it's easy because I kept saying numbers, but I was like, see, the numbers still, like, when a movie I don't like, I rate a movie I don't necessarily like, but it wasn't necessarily terrible. So I'll say like 7, but like 7 is still 7 out of 10 if we're talking.
That's 70%. That's a C. That's a C minus, really.
Right. So in that sense, C is more what I wanted to say, but 7 out of 10 in a rating seems way higher, and so everything's just at this, 7 threshold, which just seems.
In grand scheme of things, you're really only rating things between a 5 and a 10. Has anything really come under a 5?
Right. No, I don't think so. Maybe if we ever watch something like, I don't know, Sharknado or something, but yeah. So I just me personally, you can do whatever you want. That's what I keep telling everybody else. Like, you can do whatever you want. Me personally, I'm going letter grades. I mean, we have to do the numbers thing for Bond because we started, so we just got to keep the continuity. But for this, I'm just I like this a lot. So I'm done going like, what do I think in the grand scheme of thing? A critical response and everything. I'm done.
It's all about
that
you.
whole bullshit. So for me, this is a B. I enjoy watching it, and it is a bit of a think piece in ways, and so I like it, and I'm calling it a B.
All right. Yep, I'm with you there. See, the problem is, like, I pretty directly translate, so, like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, a 7.5, and I feel like that puts me at around a B or 2. So, it's something I really would like to kind of give this a while and watch through it again.
Yeah.
Just kind of like another full thing and kind of see how I feel after that and write another
we could do a
set of...
5-minute podcast just like Taxi Driver Revisited.
Yeah.
Just a quick, like, I think I had some goofy thoughts, but here's what I think now.
Yeah, that would be a bad idea. Because I really would like to go through it again and kind of see if my opinion changes on any of this stuff now that I know what the end is going to be from the beginning, so I can kind of look at it with a bit of a different scope, but I did really like the movie. I'm glad that I only had to watch it once to like it, and that I wasn't like you and, maybe wasn't, too critical or overthinking it at the time.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the plan now, is I just have to overanalyze every movie on the first watch so I can get my money's worth.
Yeah, well, I mean, whenever we cover one, I have to watch it at least twice, because I feel like I didn't notice, the dude she worked with, like, peeking around the pole the first, second, or third time I watched it. It was watching it this most recent time where I noticed he's going, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
I feel like you just pick up more, so I try to watch everything at least twice, and in theory, everything we cover I've watched before, so I'm hopefully on maybe a third, fourth, or, in the case of, when we did, like, Goodfellas and Pulp Fiction, things like that, we're talking about, I don't know, 40, 50,
Many much times.
Many times,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Some of the older movies, too, would be cool to, like, or our older podcasts.
Do a
Would be
revisit.
cool to do, like, and it's just short, because you don't want to redo the whole thing. But like a Pulp Fiction Revisited, Now, because I feel like we've also progressed in, hopefully the listeners feel this way too, but I feel like we've progressed in, the quality of actual podcast being produced.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sounds like a good spot to wrap it up. What do you think?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay. We're on the YouTubes. Maybe you're watching it. But just our Content Crisis YouTube channel. We're on the Twitter at Content Crisis 1. We're consecratedhotline@yahoo.com. And we're on the Spotify, the Apple Podcasts. It should be just wherever you get your podcasts. So thanks for listening, subscribe, and stuff like that. And what I like to do is say what the next podcast is.
Oh.
I've been trying to do that.
Tune in next time for
Star Wars Episode 7. Alright. Goodbye.